evening, ladies and gentlemen. You would remember how yesterday, after Finance Minister's budget speech, when Rahul Gandhi was asked about his opinion, he said that he will use the platform provided by Parliament to air his views. So today, when the Congress MPs stood up to speak in Lok Sabha, all eyes were on the leader of opposition. This was to be his take on the presidential address. From the Prime Minister to the Home Minister and Defence Minister, all were in attendance. But as the leader of opposition stood up to speak, he chose a script that took everyone by surprise. He picked an unpublished memoir and the India-China border as his subject. Waving an article published in a magazine, Rahul Gandhi used former Army Chief MM Naravane's name to direct the conversation towards Centre's national security policy. He said that he wants to speak about the Doklam standoff mentioned in the book, claiming that it says that Chinese tanks had come close to the Kailash range, within a few hundred meters of the Indian positions. He said he wanted to mention parts where the book speaks about Prime Minister Modi and the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. It was at this point that he was interrupted by the Treasury benches. Rajnath Singh asked Rahul Gandhi to clarify whether the book had been published or not. Speaker Om Birla then repeatedly reminded him of the rules that no book or newspaper clipping can be quoted on a matter not related to the proceedings of the House. Rahul Gandhi, however, was insistent that the document was authentic and that he had the right to quote from it.
And I quote from an article that is quoting his book. The tanks were within a few hundred meters of Indian positions on the Kailash range.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, only started.
क्या वह पुस्तक प्रकाशित हुई है जिसमें यह सब सारी बातें उन्होंने लिखी हैं? यदि प्रकाशित हुई है तब तो आप उसका उल्लेख करिए, नहीं प्रकाशित हुई है तो उल्लेख करने का कोई औचित्य नहीं है.
Now, for anybody even remotely familiar with the line of actual control, it would be thoroughly confusing to hear Doklam and Kailash range in the same sentence, because while Rahul Gandhi mentioned Doklam, what he actually was referring to was the Galwan Valley. They are completely different regions and geographies, and Doklam standoff happened in 2017, not in 2020, as Rahul Gandhi himself mentioned when he spoke for the second time.
This is a fundamental explanation of our relationship with China.
No.
Inside this is a full understanding of what happened in Doklam. ये बात सर 31 अगस्त 2020 में शुरू होती है. 4 टैंक्स हिंदुस्तान ने कैलाश.
Rahul Gandhi simply should not have mixed these locations up if his real concern was actually national security. But perhaps he chose an ex-army chief's shoulder to gun for the Modi government, and in doing so displayed complete disregard for parliamentary norms and procedures. Despite 2 adjournments and repeated reminders of rules from the Speaker, the Home Minister, Defence Minister and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Rahul Gandhi kept harping on the same point, on the same subject, every single time he was given an opportunity to speak.
स्पीकर सर, ये गारंटीड ऑथेंटिक है. इसमें नारावाने जी ने कहा है कि उनका मेमोआर है, उसे सरकार पब्लिश नहीं होने दे रही है. इसमें सब लिखा है.
लीडर ऑपोजिशन ने ही समाप्त कर दिया है. वो स्वयं कह रहे हैं कि पुस्तक प्रकाशित नहीं हुई. अब जो पुस्तक प्रकाशित नहीं हुई है, इसका जिक्र सदन में कैसे हो सकता है?
I'd like to go to what Mr. Naravane said.
No.
अब हम तो सोचे राहुल गांधी थोड़ा सुधर गए होंगे, थोड़ा सुधरते नहीं है, सेम चीज भी रिपीट कर रहे हैं.
There's a very important matter that I've been trying to raise for the last 2 or 3 hours. It is a matter of national security.
Yes.
अगर आपने तय कर लिया है कि आप स्पीकर के उस व्यवस्था देने के बावजूद बार-बार आप उस विषय को, जिसके बारे में रक्षा मंत्री, गृह मंत्री जी कहा, कोई किताब पब्लिश हुई हो तो बता दें। नहीं, आप वही बात फिर करना चाहते हैं। अगर आपको बोलना है तो मैं आपको अलाउ करता हूं, लेकिन आप महामहिम राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण के बहुत से मुद्दे हैं।
Rahul Gandhi's unverified attacks are now facing a counter-offensive from government sources. They say that Rahul Gandhi is reading concocted things on China while ignoring what is already in public domain about Jawaharlal Nehru's China policy, including allegations that India's first Prime Minister surrendered thousands of acres of Indian land to the enemy. The message from the BJP is blunt. Instead of quoting unpublished claims, Rahul Gandhi should read published verified books that document historical failures. In fact, the BJP has now also cited comments from former army chief in public domain to bolster their argument. Listen in to what General Naravane has said about the situation at the line of actual control and India's response to China in Galwan.
Firstly, we have not lost out in any territory. We are where we were before this whole thing started. But as a result of this agreement, it has been reached on the principle of mutual and equal security. So I think that should be the way we look at this whole disengagement process.
And not an inch has been lost.
Not an inch has been lost. That's it.
Well, after this clash occurred and we showed that it is possible to stand up to China, who tries to bully its smaller neighbors. India as a country showed to the world that it is possible to take on that neighborhood bully.
So why is Rahul Gandhi choosing to rely on unpublished claims? BJP says he is misusing parliamentary privilege to malign the Indian armed forces and to place India's national security narrative under a cloud of suspicion. Congress and its allies disagree with this. They argue no rules were broken and it is the BJP who is using the rule book to hide its own failure.
मुझे लगता है कि राहुल गांधी जानबूझ के ये काम कर रहे हैं हमारा देश का आर्मी का मनोबल को गिराने के लिए।
आर्मी चीफ की किताब का एक्सर्प्ट वो पढ़ रहे थे, इसमें बदनाम करने की क्या बात है? ये तो हमेशा यही कहते हैं जब इनको कुछ ऐसी चीज बाहर आती है जिससे ये छुपना चाहते हैं।
कुछ अलग बात करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, उसमें एक पूर्व सैनिक का सहारा ले रहे थे, वो गोली चला रहे थे, उनके कंधे से गोली अपनी चलाना चाह रहे थे।
राहुल जी अपनी महत्वपूर्ण बातें रखना चाहते थे और देश के लिए बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी और फिर चीन बॉर्डर या चाइना बॉर्डर का सवाल हो तो और महत्वपूर्ण बन जाता है।
And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. From economy to national security, unverified criticism is Rahul Gandhi's favorite playbook? That's the question and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Deepak Reddy, National Spokesperson of the TDP, Suhail Seth, columnist, Sanjay Jha, author, Congress leader, Faizan Kidwai, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Nivan Sharma, National Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Vivek Srivastava, political analyst, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, IPCS senior fellow and defense expert. But my first question goes to Congress leader Sanjay Jha. And Sanjay Jha, Rahul Gandhi, well, it could have been a slip that he mentioned Doklam when he actually wanted to speak about Galwan. But a Freudian slip, many would say, on security issues, not even to know the area, not even to know the context of what you are speaking, picking up an unpublished book, being told repeatedly that is against the rules of parliament. Is Mr. Rahul Gandhi really interested in national security or just opposition point scoring?
Navika, good evening to you and to all my fellow panelists on the program. I think what Rahul Gandhi has done in Parliament is often called as a yeoman's service to the people of India. Let us expose the BJP's fake respect for India's military and defense services. And let us today also expose the false and the absolutely what they call as the faux nationalism of the BJP. This is a general. This is a general, the chief of army staff, General Mohan Naravane. Why has this government not allowed this book to be published for 1 year? Why is the Narendra Modi government not trusting a man who was given the responsibility of our territorial boundaries? Someone who is responsible for keeping every citizen safe. That is the fundamental question that we need to ask. Mr. Modi's government needs to tell the people what were they scared of, because obviously it went to them for permissions. The publisher went to them for permission. And guess what happens? They say no, because there are inconvenient truths. If these were lies, Rahul Gandhi has not said anything new. He's quoted the general. This is not some kind of a fake news or a manufactured thing that the BJP IT cell is an expert in. Today, there is no excuse because the general has written in his book, and I have the details in front of me, the entire article, the extract in Caravan, that end of day, there were several calls made to Mr. Rajnath Singh and to the other top leaders in the establishment, including Jaishankar, Amit Shah, etc., and none of them wanted to respond. After several calls with the Chinese threatening our borders in eastern Ladakh, finally, when they were just about 500 or 400 meters away, then they get a message from the leadership, Jo uchit hai wahi karo. And I think what the general has pointed out, that this could have resulted in a war, because these are decisions that are taken normally by political leaders at the helm of affairs. Which brings me to 2 points, Navika, before the others come in that I do want to point out. Number one, additional to this, go back to the Kandahar hijack. It is on record that L.K. Advani was not even aware, and he was India's home minister, when the plane that was hijacked left the airport for Kandahar. He was not even aware of that. That is the state of national security under this government. And last but not the least, I don't know when the media will discuss it, you have the case of Donald Trump and his telling that Mr. Modi's government agreed on a ceasefire. And now you have an example of the Epstein files, which is, by the way, a document released by the Department of Justice in America that says that India's entire conduct with the Prime Minister in Israel pleasing Donald Trump with some kind of a performance raises serious questions of national security.
Well, I'm glad that your ability to raise questions is intact, Sanjay Jha. But from what you have said, I'm not even going into the merits of the argument. From what you have said, Jo uchit hai wo kariye is a carte blanche given to an army chief, the expert of the situation. What's wrong with that? Number one. Number two, we've played out, and it's in public domain, the official statements on the Galwan issue made by General Naravane, which are on record in public domain. Those you will not believe in. What you will believe in are excerpts of a book that has not been published and excerpts of a magazine which was used by Jairam Ramesh last I heard, and he had to apologize to Mr. Ajit Doval, the national security advisor of this country. He had to actually apologize to him because he depended on statements made in that magazine. I'm just quoting facts as they are. But Gaurav Bhatia, national security and BJP पे कांग्रेस के बहुत से सवाल हैं. Please respond.
Including answer on Epstein files, please.
Navika, I will try to respond to whatever comments have been made so far. But before that, as a law-abiding citizen, as a senior advocate, as a person who has seen Rahul Gandhi holding the constitution in his hand, the larger question is Rahul Gandhi, the fake Gandhi, and his family above the constitution, the parliament, and the rule book, conduct of business rules of the Lok Sabha? So repeatedly, the rules were cited by Kiran Rijiju ji, by Amit Shah ji and Rajnath Singh ji. The speaker gave his ruling 5 times saying that this is not permitted under the rules. Why was Rahul Gandhi still insisting? And he was trying to quote from a book which even my friend Sanjay Jha said has not been published. So first, you are not above the law, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Second, you have to abide by the rules.
You have not allowed the book to be published.
Third, the book has not been published.
Sanjay Jha, take a deep breath. You're developing a bad habit of interrupting. Nobody interrupted you. Let's be fair. And you normally are fair. Of late, I'm seeing some deviations from your normal character. Hold on. Gaurav.
Sorry for that.
So, reiterating my first point, it has 3 parts. A, the rule 349, 353 and residuary powers to the speaker under rule 389 has to be followed by every member, Rahul Gandhi included. Second, the book has not been published. Even Rahul Gandhi did not muster the courage to say so. You can't quote from a book which has not been published. Third, the speaker gave a ruling 5 times at least. Rahul Gandhi has to abide by it. It is not like tearing the ordinance like he did when UPA was in power and he thought he's above the cabinet of the Manmohan Singh ji government. Now, second point. We must understand, if my friend Sanjay Jha talks about the General Naravane, then I would like to quote him, and I have this article. What does it say? It says, not an inch of Indian soil has been lost, what you also showed. But I have Rahul Gandhi's tweet and Congress tweet. Do you know what they said? Navika, Rahul Gandhi said, गद्दारों ने भारत माता को चीर कर एक टुकड़ा चीन को दे दिया है, देश का प्रधानमंत्री गद्दार है. Now I want to ask, why did he not trust the general then? And why did you call one of the Congress party leader called General Bipin Rawat sadak ka gunda? Have faith in the army, have faith in the general. It can't be a tool of convenience. Third, very important point, Navika, we need to understand Rahul Gandhi is playing in the hands of China. There is a secret MOU between the Nakli Gandhi Parivar and a political party of China, and therefore maybe there is a clause which they have not disclosed to Indians that says that you have to weaken the country. And why do I say that? I say this with some responsibility. During the Galwan clash, Rahul Gandhi said Bharatiya Sena Chini Sena se pit gayi hai. Verbatim. The Honorable Supreme Court came down heavily and the Supreme Court remarked, koi Indian aisi baat nahi keh sakta. No Indian can say that for the brave Indian army. And that is why I say Rahul Gandhi today is the weakest link we have. He is compromised and he lacks credibility in the eyes of the citizens.
Well, I want to bring in Faizan Kidwai. And Faizan Kidwai, I completely appreciate the fact that the opposition wants to raise the issue of national security. Number one is the president's address and the motion on the thanks to the president address, the only occasion that you get to do so, and within that to show the Indian army down, or in whichever manner it is possible to embarrass India as a country in front of foreign nations. If that is the objective, is it really the correct objective to have? I'm just asking.
Good evening, Navika. Good evening to you and to the fellow panelists. Navika, if somebody has humiliated India, it is Mr. Narendra Modi, जो कहते थे लाल गुस्से वाली आंखें दिखाओ, आज उनकी आंखों में ना गुस्सा है ना आंखें ही नहीं रही हैं, शायद अंधे हो गए हैं. So, Navika, the problem is that this BJP and its
to say अंधे हो गए हैं, आंखें ही नहीं रही.
अंधे मतलब नहीं, दिख नहीं रहा है कोई कौन, figuratively, Navika. Okay. Not literally.
I'm glad you at least didn't mean it.
See, I'm not from BJP. I don't use abusive words. Thank God, I'm not from BJP.
Until I reminded you, you forgot the figurative.
Navika, let me please. Of course, I did because I'm just putting my points across. Okay, so Navika, the thing is, BJP and its ecosystem want to silence the opposition by citing rules and this unpublished nature of the book. But let them be this be known that their incompetence and cowardice has already been published in the blood of our martyrs and innocent citizens. When the memoirs of our former army chief, it has exposed that this 56-inch Sina is nothing but very hollow, and this strongman image is nothing but gimmick and rhetoric which was created by looting a lot of taxpayers' money through electoral bonds. Imagine, Navika, China was just few kilometers away, and our Modi Sahab says, "Jo uchit samjho wo karo," rather than giving the order to fire and defend the borders. You know why, Navika, why this happens? Because the Epstein fame Narendra Modi was preparing a scapegoat. The Honorable Prime Minister wanted the army that, God forbid, if the army fired and something went wrong, or if the army didn't fire and surrendered the land, he would have blamed the general, the army. He's the same Prime Minister. Sure, Gaurav, you do respond. He's the same Prime Minister who surrendered 2,000 square kilometers of land in Ladakh, and then on national television he says, "Yahan koi nahi ghusa, yahan koi nahi aaya." China humiliated India using this word of Narendra Modi and the Indian negotiators. To them, China said, "Bhai, aapka Prime Minister to keh rahe yahan koi ghusa nahi, to aap humse kya keh rahe ho?" Then it was Mr. Rajnath Singh, Navika, he during Operation Sindoor, after Operation Sindoor, he said nobody was martyred. On May 11, 2025, DGMO Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai in a press conference said 5 soldiers were martyred and paid homage. Rajnath Singh was not only lying just for the sake of saving his image, he also refused martyrdom to our brave hearts. Do you call this patriotism? For me, Navika, this is cowardice and humiliation to our martyrs, to our brave hearts.
All right. Gaurav Bhatia, please respond. Please respond to the angry young man.
Yeah. No, angry surely he is. Young, I don't know. But then it's okay. I think that brings out the worst in every Samajwadi Party spokesperson defending the indefensible. But Navika, let me tell you now a few facts. We all know that after the Pulwama attack, the kind of response, the Balakot airstrike happened. Do you know the stand of the Samajwadi Party? Ram Gopal Yadav. One, he was asking for proof from the Indian Army and the Air Force. And second, he said Narendra Modi ji ne jawanon ko marwa diya satta mein rehne ke liye. And then the results came out. That was a befitting slap to the Samajwadi Party. They could only win 5 seats then. Second, Mulayam Singh Yadav, the tallest leader of Samajwadi Party, himself admitted Bofors ki maine file chupa di. Azam Khan said ki Bharat Mata dying hai. And most importantly, Navika, there is a way to conduct yourself in the parliament. You have to adhere to the law, which they are not doing. And how selective they can be. Just now he said that during Modi ji's regime, India has lost 2,000 square kilometers of land. But I just quoted the General Naravane, and otherwise the Prime Minister and also the Defense Minister on the floor of the House have said, not an inch of India's land has been ceded, but it is a fact. And I must place this fact. The parliamentary reply of the minister in the Congress government, 43,000 square kilometers of Indian territory was handed over to China by the Congress government, and SP is with the Congress, never questions that.
But that's not, even I can come in and say, let's not go into the past. The questions are on the current situation. Please respond to the current charges that are being made. Congress ne jo kiya, that is part of history.
So I have responded. Naravane ji said 0 inch. How is he saying 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory has been ceded? Should you not ask that question?
2,000 square
on what basis? What is the record? 2,000 square kilometers has been ceded.
What is the basis? What is the basis of the facts that you are putting out, or is this only hearsay? Is a question that will be asked. Let me get in the subject matter experts on this issue, and let me get in Abhijit Iyer Mitra, a man I know who follows these things almost as we call him. He's like a worm who gets into the details of these things. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra, what are the facts as you have ascertained on this entire Galwan standoff, where it is being said that the truth is being hidden because 2,000 square kilometers was handed over to China?
So, Navika, the first thing we need to remember in this article, which I have read so that you don't have to inflict it on your viewers, is that it is 90% of it is the author's own opinion, and every here and there he has taken quotes from the general to buttress his own opinion. And the clearest sign from it comes where it opens in August, where this tank movement happens up to Kailash. Mind you, it is completely decontextualized. The context comes much later in the entire article. This is something very classic. I've noticed this with all caravan articles. They tend to decontextualize and sensationalize something that simply hasn't happened. So it starts like this. At 8:15, these Chinese tanks start rolling. By 10:30, after 2 or 3 calls, so 2 hours and 15 minutes later, Rajnath calls the general and tells him, we leave it up to you. You're free to do what you want. The general then starts thinking, array, the onus is on me, etc., etc. Context again. This whole thing started in May. In June is where there was the deadly clash where 20 of our Jawans lost their lives. There had been July and August in between where there was a steady build-up. The preparations had been made, war plans had been made, everything had been made, and operational details will always be left to the general. It is normal for every general to ponder 10 times before he acts on everything. We don't even know where it has been taken from context, out of context, what context here, because throughout the author keeps editorializing left, right, and center. Mind you, I want to read out from the article itself. To be clear, at no point does General Naravane, he doesn't even say General Naravane, at no point does Naravane kya uska rishtedar hai to call him like that, he's the chief of army staff, use some respect. To be clear, at no point does Naravane criticize Modi. On the contrary, his memoir is replete with praise, often for minor gestures. Naravane recounts admiringly how Modi at one point pointed out that only essential lights were kept on in his office. So clearly, even the author who's peddling an agenda has to admit that Naravane is not criticizing the government, which is why I want to see the manuscript where it comes out. But that said, I want to point out some extraordinary glaring mistakes, factual errors, Navika, that are replete in this article, not in the general's account, not in citations from the general, but from the author himself. He says there was no imagery available. Even in 2025, imagery was rare and patchy. Navika, do you remember during that entire period I was coming over to your office every single day showing you extremely high resolution imagery? Now, just because the author doesn't want to refer to imagery, and if you remember during that entire period, these same people who were saying kagaz nahi dikhayenge during Balakot, they were saying sabut dikhao. When we started showing them the imagery, they were saying ye kuch nahi hota hai. They refused to even acknowledge the imagery here. Second, he says that decisions were being taken by the China study group that had absolutely no constitutional standing and were extra wires to the constitution. Navika, the cabinet committees on security is also extra constitutional. It comes from the 1961 rules of business. If you can please bring up picture 3, I've sent it to you. It is the rules of business on the basis of, if you can bring up that graphic if possible.
Yes.
On the basis of which cabinet committees are constituted, and the Prime Minister is completely empowered as per those rules of business to constitute any ad hoc committee with any membership as he deems fit to deem with whatever the situation may be. Now imagine this is an author who teaches Indian constitutional history at Yale, and he doesn't even know this difference. Are you kidding?
Well, you know, to base your opinion on an article, you know, or on a magazine, and with due respect to any magazine, any media publication, I'm just saying that the track record has been that Jairam Ramesh has said he did not independently once check an article and quoted from this magazine and had to apologize. Vivek Srivastava, we are putting lock, stock and barrel all our trust and faith in that article so that we can quote it in parliament, so that we can somehow show Modi down. One point agenda is what? वही जो अभी जाहिर कर दी फैजान भाई ने 56 इंच की छाती को किसी न किसी तरह से पंक्चर करना है, अंधा करना है. You know, it is so personal. The animosity against Modi is so personal. Is that why we do this?
No.
Not at all. Not at all. I think the government is trying to cover up. It is very simple. The leader of opposition wants to ask a question. It could be from a book, it could be from an article, or he could ask it out of his own curiosity, and he has a right. Because there was a presidential address that was being discussed upon, which the opposition feels whatever the government wrote and gave it to the president was just very hollow and repetitive. So national security is a national issue. The president also mentioned it in her speech. If Rahul Gandhi wants to ask a question, what is the problem? So everybody jumps into the
follow the rules and ask the question.
Nobody wants to address this question.
No, follow the rules and ask the question. Authenticate. You cannot authenticate a book through an article. You have to authenticate the book, my friend. If the book was published, you can put it there. Am I wrong? So he'll say it. You know, this is the parliamentary rule that says if people like me who have covered parliament for 3 decades.
The government has not answered.
1 minute. 1 minute.
No. The government has not answered.
1 minute here. I'm not a defense expert like Abhijit is, nor do I know history in the fine manner that Sanjay does. And I'm not being sarcastic. I know of disrespect because that particular gentleman was a family friend of ours. His name was Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw. He had a pharmacy store in Amritsar, and my grandfather Gangaram Seth and he were the closest of friends. I know when he passed away, the Defense Minister of India, nor the Army Chief of India at that point in time went to condole or went for his funeral. That is disrespect. National security is when 26/11 happened and MK Narayanan, and God bless his soul, he's passed, Mr. Shivraj Patil, had no clue. That is also being unintelligent. But as you rightly said, Navika, this is not the place to go into history. I have only a simple, logical perspective to offer. Parliament is in session to discuss a particular issue. Discuss that issue. Because this is what happens, Sanjay, and I know you will agree with the logic, you may not agree with the tenor. If Parliament has been convened to discuss the budget, and you hijack parliamentary proceedings to discuss whatever, right, wrong, indifferent, another matter, you are doing two things. You are telling the world that you will pursue your agenda of business, and number two, you will set the narrative, and to hell with what anyone else says. That can't happen. Rahul Gandhi must remember that while he is a Gandhi, and they did yeoman service, to quote Sanjay Jha's opening phrase, to this country, there is a certain rule and order that he must submit himself to. He is not above parliamentary proceedings. And constant violation of parliamentary proceedings seems to suggest only two things. Sanjay, I've repeated this over and over again. Rahul Gandhi may have his heart in the right place, but the mechanism which he employs to unfurl the feelings of his heart at times come across as disruptive. You don't need an anarchist. You need a logical, fine human being. You know, my friend from Samajwadi Party, Mulayam Singh ji, if I remember right, was defense minister from 1996 to 1998. He only made one statement which turned into controversy. And it was his perspective. His perspective was that China is the bigger enemy, not Pakistan. And all of parliament erupted. But Mulayam Singh Yadav ji said what he did within the confines of parliamentary proceedings and an agenda which was determined thus. That's my limited point. Why does Rahul Gandhi always have a problem for a solution? Why is he always bitter? Why is he always angry? Why can't he actually see that there is progress? And by dragging the armed forces, by dragging institutions always, whether it's election commission, whoever it is, you are only trying to be a disruptor and not someone who is providing progress. Sanjay, I'll give you one piece of advice. When I'm speaking, I don't interrupt. Just put your finger down. It's a very interruptive signal. And I know you will not do it, but it just interrupts my flow. But now you can speak. I mean, let Navika decide who speaks, but thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Point noted, Sued. Sued, just one minor piece of information. Rahul was not making an unprovoked statement in Parliament. There was a BJP MP called Mr. Surya from Bengaluru who made comments on nationalism and national security under Congress. So this becomes our responsibility, right? You are in Parliament. You have a BJP young guy who, by the way, made some of the most hateful. Yeah, no, 1 minute.
Sanjay,
One minute.
If someone is being stupid, you don't have to follow in his or her footsteps.
No.
He's the leader of opposition. Rahul Gandhi is a leader of opposition. He has been a longer term parliamentarian than Tejasvi Surya. So, but now
you said not to interrupt. Now you don't.
But I didn't raise my finger.
Okay, all right.
Fair enough. My short point is that the BJP uses every public platform to wrongfully malign the opposition, including the Congress. They are experts in misinformation and disinformation from the floor of Parliament. As a leader of the opposition, as a party that fought for India's freedom, as a party that has waged wars against Pakistan and successfully liberated Bangladesh, that is now being turned into East Pakistan by the Narendra Modi government, Rahul Gandhi is right in taking
Sanjay Jha, you know, yes, you're a very great party. We all agree. No, but please, when you talk about 1971 and the wars before that, just once in a while, remember 26/11. You live in Mumbai, you owe yourself the fact that, you forget 26/11 very often. And what has been said about that? Well, chapter and verse has been debated, discussed and spoken about it. But Deepak Reddy, Rahul Gandhi asking questions has never been the problem. The problem is the anarchist mindset that he follows. When he says that, hamare soldiers ko China comes and slaps them, the manner in which it comes out, the manner in which he puts out the entire narrative, is that the problem more than the facts of the matter?
Navika ji, today your introduction, I just wanted to start with that. When you introduced Sanjay Jha, earlier I heard it as author, then former ex-Congress leader. Today it was author, Congress leader. But I would like to add one more feather to his crown. He's a Congress author. Okay, now let's get to the point. Today I don't want to talk about the rules, the parliamentary procedures or the issue, because it's pretty much clear. There are 4 reasons why Rahul Gandhi is so angry. The first, he was forced to work on a Sunday yesterday. So that's the reason he's quite upset with the NDA. The second reason, he said that, I was questioned about my patriotism and culture. And that is the reason I'm raising this issue. So I think he's feeling uncomfortable of his half Italian origin. I think that's pretty much what it is. The third, he talked about the Kailash range. It's clear that there is a degree of guilt for the biggest failure from the past, and it is haunting them subconsciously. And the fourth, yesterday Rahul Gandhi was sitting so attentively when the budget was going on, and when the camera panned onto him, he looked rather spellbound. So now he knows that it's such a lovely budget, and he wants to somehow deviate from there. But let me come to one aspect. Rahul Gandhi and the India ecosystem and Congress party has been successful in dividing our country and society on the basis of religion, caste, and n number of things. Our armed forces are one of our biggest pride, and now continuously trying to talk about them and demoralizing them or casting aspersions is something which is totally uncalled for, and it is painful to see that. So they have managed to corrupt a great lot of institutions. But I really want to urge the Congress and the India ecosystem not to disrespect our armed forces. And
absolutely, the core of this question in this debate is, Nivan Sharma, is it right to somehow or the other, put the last bastion, which is the armed forces, under a cloud, under a question mark? Try and demoralize them. And isn't that the basic question when Rahul Gandhi raises the subject matter in the manner he does?
Absolutely. And Navika ji, I feel that Congress is suffering from a strategic confusion. I would say like that. What we witnessed today in the parliament was nothing but a friendly match between BJP and Rahul Gandhi. You listen to that 45-minute speech of Rahul Gandhi, you will understand why I'm saying this. India's situation in China is extremely sensitive, involving territory and national security. And Rahul Gandhi quoted a magazine. Earlier he said he's quoting a book, then he said he's quoting a magazine and so on. If he had something serious, he knows he's a 5-time parliamentarian. He knows the procedure of the parliament. He could have been prepared. He could have come out clearly and said what he wanted to say. And it was clear that BJP was uncomfortable listening to that. I don't think you would rarely see Rajnath Singh ji and Home Minister standing 10 times at least in 45 minutes. You could clearly see that.
So that's a fixed match. Gaurav Bhatia, now Aam Aadmi Party thinks you have a fixed match with Rahul Gandhi. Ab yahi sunna baki reh gaya tha.
I don't know. I'm saying is if he had something, he could have come out and said in the media. Why did he
क्या हो रहा है?
He couldn't say in the parliament. He could have come out and said in the media.
ये तो इंडी अलायंस के पार्टनर हैं.
नहीं, अब नहीं है.
Can I come in?
अब नहीं है.
Navika ji, I just want to say that this is a friendly match.
Okay, I heard you, Nivan Sharma. Gaurav Bhatia, they're not partners anymore. But is this a friendly match? Do you really think so? Conspiracy theories have gone so far?
You save us on National Herald, we will save you.
I will answer, but before I answer, and please, Navika, request him, please request him. I want to make my point, and my voice is echoing in my ear. If you can get it corrected, please.
It's echoing all across the country.
My first point is this. There is an argument being raised that there was provocation by a BJP leader when he was delivering his speech, and that is why Rahul Gandhi had to respond like this. Now, to that I have to say, words surrender Modi. Do you know who's the culprit? Trying to attack and insult the Honorable Prime Minister, it is Rahul Gandhi. Who said Movid? Movid is equal to COVID. It's Rahul Gandhi. Third, देश के प्रधानमंत्री कायर हैं राहुल गांधी. लेकिन how Narendra Modi ji raised the bar, did not retaliate by anything which is factually incorrect or abuse or insult, but he spoke about India, and that is why 3 times in a row he has been the Prime Minister of the country.
Well,
second, from a member of parliament and a leader of opposition, what do you expect? You know, Doklam was going on, the clash between June 2017 to August 2017. Should a member of parliament, the Nakli Gandhi, be meeting the Chinese ambassador at that time? I have a tweet of Rahul Gandhi. This tweet is dated 10th of July 2017. When the clash is going on, rather than standing with the Indian army, standing with Indians, he is meeting the Chinese ambassador, then he is lying, I have not met. Later, he had to confess he met. So, his loyalty to
I don't know.
Politics
is the art of the perception, and perception as far as the common man is concerned. On national security, at least, will they believe Narendra Modi or will they believe Rahul Gandhi? After the track record that the Congress has had, yes, they've won battles, and nobody is questioning, you know, their victory, you know, in the Bangladesh war, and nobody is questioning that. But in recent times, just talk about the UPA era. You know, our response systems in those 10 years from 2004 to 2014 and between 2014 and now, you know, just pick up those records and see. Who will the people of India believe? I think nobody even needs to take a guess or a popular poll. The writing is on the wall. Why then would Rahul Gandhi really pick up an issue on which probably very little scope for his victory, and that too relying on an unpublished book and opinions of authors who clearly come from a milieu that is called the Congress ecosystem? Is that adding to credibility? I don't know. The jury is out. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.